Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. Good morning to you, the rest of the world. It's Wednesday, the 12th day of May 2021, and you're welcome to The Conversation, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Merciful Ajinomo.
And my name is Adesuwa Osiyu. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Merciful.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. You're looking sharp as well.
Thank you. You as well. All right, before we move into developments across Africa, here is the quote of the day. That's some wise words from Nelson Mandela there saying, look, you cannot find, there's no passion to be found in, living a life that's less capable than what you're able to live. Do you understand?
Yeah, I think I guess it. It's just basically saying live your life to be fullest. You don't settle for less than you can actually do with your life. So just explore, live your life to the full potential. Just explore your full potential as a person. And then I think that's where you find fulfillment.
I feel like you're talking to me already.
You see, that's why it's a motivation.
All right, we move over straight into developments across Africa. I will begin with the very first story here from Zambia, where a road and rail bridge linking Botswana and Zambia aimed at easing congestion at border crossings and boosting trade was inaugurated on Monday. The multi-million-dollar project stretches for some 3,000 feet over the Zambezi River, providing an alternative route for haulers. Zambia's President Edgar Lungu at the ribbon-cutting ceremony on Monday said the bridge will lower the cost of doing business while anticipating an increase in trade and competitiveness, job creation, tourism, and other positive ripple effects. The project, which began in December 2014, cost about $259 million. It was co-founded by the African Development Bank, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, regional government, and other grants.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. Now moving over to, Libya, where the issue of illegal migration has been on the forefront in that country. A total of 7,096 migrants have been rescued off the Libyan coast so far this year, according to the United Nations International Organization for Migration. The rescued migrants include 6,168 men, 546 women, and 336 minors, while 157 migrants died and 349 others went missing on the central Mediterranean route so far. The IOM added that in 2020, 11,891 migrants were rescued and returned to Libya, 381 died, and 597 others went missing on the central Mediterranean route, according to the IOM. The fall of Libya's longtime leader, Muammar Gaddafi, in 2011 prompted the state of insecurity and chaos in the country and has encouraged thousands of migrants to cross the Mediterranean Sea towards European shores.
That's just very sad when people who are trying to, live where they're based, getting to go and find greener pastures and everything, and dying in the process is really very sad.
It's terrible, sad actually.
All right, I'll move over to Nigeria. Kogi State Governor, Governor Bello changes status quo, makes speech-impaired man aid. The Governor, Yaya Bello of Kogi State, has set an example by going beyond the ordinary and changing the status quo by appointing a speech-impaired young man, Peter Aliyu, as a special assistant on sanitation. Mr. Peter Aliyu, a former cleaner under the G-Money cleaning scheme in Government House in Lokoja, continued his cleaning work without pay even when the company was said to have laid off all of its staff. Peter was among the 47 new appointees of the Kogi State government whose appointments were announced on Wednesday last week in a statement by the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Folashade Ayoade. According to the government, Aliyu's appointment was born out of the governor's observation of his consistency, diligence, and dedication to work on a daily basis at the government house in the state capital. Governor Bello, on the other hand, was said to have considered the appointee's impairment to serve in his government as a means to enlist him and prove that there was ability in disability. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it's calls for total inclusion. We've been talking about inclusion of people living with disability and all of that stuff, and I think that's quite applaudable what Governor Yahaya Bello did there.
Yeah.
All right, still on Nigeria. Nigeria has announced 49 new COVID-19 infections. The country recorded 49 new cases of the novel coronavirus, bringing the total number of infections in the country to 165,468. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, made this known on its official Twitter handle late Monday. The health body noted that the 49 new cases were reported from 3 states and the Federal Capital Territory, that's the FCT. Of the 46 new cases, FCT topped the list with 27 infections, followed by Lagos, Enugu, and Oyo with 11, 8 and 3 cases respectively. According to the updates, no new death was recorded from the virus, which has already claimed 2,065 lives in the country. The number of deaths from the virus has declined recently, with only 4 deaths recorded in the last 26 days. Meanwhile, Nigeria has said the second dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines will soon be administered on eligible men and women who have received their first shot. The country has so far received about 4.1 million doses of the vaccine.
Wow.
Yes.
That's some number right there. And we have 49 new cases. And we do believe that what our expectations are is that everyone gets a fair share of the vaccinations, because now we're seeing news of people saying, look, the vaccine is not reaching some part of the countries and part of the world and everything. But we do believe that Nigeria should be different. Africa, as a continent, should focus on a very even dispensation of the vaccination where everyone has a fair shot and everything.
Yes, I mean, that's it. Because they did say over 1 million people have already received the first shot of the vaccine, and they're looking towards, giving the second shot of the vaccine. So I think it's quite encouraging, because I don't think we expected Nigerians to be very eager to take the vaccine, but we're seeing that that's happening now, which is actually very applaudable. So we just hope that, it keeps going on, that the first shot administration keeps going on while we're gearing up, for people to start taking the second shot of the vaccine.
All right, talking about COVID-19, let's see the updates, COVID-19 updates from across Africa. That's coming from the Africa Center for Disease Control. Those are the updates, from across Africa, talking about the coronavirus disease. And as Adeswa will always say, let's ensure Africa as a continent, look, we cannot afford a third wave. That's it. Because we're still, struggling with the second wave, talking about vaccinations. And let everybody just try to, follow the guidelines. Like you always say, ensure you're socially distanced from your neighbor, wear your face mask. And just if you can take the vaccines, go ahead and take them. If they're close to you in your city, go ahead and take the vaccine. So we cannot enter a third wave of the pandemic and everything, because it's very sad. Really.
It is very. Are you saying what's happening in India and other parts of the country? The oxygen, short of oxygen, because the
data is skyrocketing.
Yes, exactly. And we can't have that, because India has one of the best healthcare systems in the world, and they're having to suffer that. Imagine in a country, in a place like Nigeria, where our healthcare system is still suffering. I don't think we can handle that much. So we just need to do our part. You and I need to do our part, so we don't have to get that far. We don't have to get there. And everyone, is safe from, COVID-19. Like I always say, we need to get rid of this virus. We need to be done with it by next year, so we don't have to keep going back and forth with,
we
COVID-19.
need to be done with it by next year.
Exactly.
I like that. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be having the newspaper review segment of The Conversation. Do stay.
North to South Africa. East to West Africa. TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram and Facebook.
You're welcome back to the conversation showing on your digital First Pan-African News Network, that is TOS Television. Don't forget, you can always be a part of the show by any show that we show you here by following us across all our social media platforms at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course our website www.tostvnetwork.com, so you can stream live the program that we are bringing to you from the studios. And don't forget, if you have not subscribed already, do so by going to your YouTube and just subscribing on TOS TV Network so you don't miss out on all our amazing content. It's the time where we'll bring you the newspaper review segment of the show, where we'll bring you some headlines from across the national dailies in Nigeria. We begin this morning with the Guardian newspaper from the very top. Women leaders give Buhari 2 months to convene National Security Conference, and that story can be found on page 4. Just besides that, we see NSIA assets grow by 193 billion naira as investment in foreign assets appreciate, and that can be found on page 19. And just besides that, $100 million lost as NNPC gives bunkering service to foreigners, says SOAN, and we can get that on page 15. And just besides that, Adeboye pledges greater interest in youth as Dare is buried. That can be found on page 29. The very conspicuous headline there is 17 southern governors ban open cattle grazing. 17 southern governors banning open cattle grazing. We see a couple of headlines on the story. Wants Buhari to address Nigerians, organize confab on insecurity. And Buhari unveils new measures for Southeast, South security. Mom on threats in North, and Afenifere leader calls for president's resignation. PDP in Nigeria in serious trouble. We must pray now. We can get all of that on page 2. And just underneath the picture of the day, foreign investors pull out 1.64 trillion naira from stock market over insecurity. And operators lament effect of social unrest on equities investment. Capital flight will persist unless federal government prioritizes security, job creation, Economist 1. All of that can be found on page 2. Masob deplores presidential shoot on site order in Southeast. We can get that on page 29. All of these stories can be found on the Guardian newspaper.
Moving away from the Guardian newspaper to the Nation newspaper, starting from the very top as well. No Eid prayer at Abuja National Ground. That's, on the issue of Ramadan today. It's saying no Eid prayer at Abuja National Ground. You can find that on page 28. And beside that one, EFCC recovers $154 million 80 asset from Desiani. Bankers must declare assets. That's on page 5 of the Nation. And then just beside that one, NSIA gained 160 billion naira in 2020. That's on page 7. First floating LNG project, UTM offshore signs sparked. That's on page 8. And then Glo resumes SIM activation. You can find that on page 7 as well. And then to the very gaping headline there, it says, Southern governors call for urgent national dialogue. It has two riders under that story. It says, How we will secure Nigeria by NSA, CDS, IG. Attacks on security operatives, a declaration of war, says federal government. Edo PDP Obaseki at war. Excos reports governor to NWC. That story is continued on page 6. And then the last headline on the Nation newspaper this morning says, Why we turned down Makinde's cash offer by sacked Oyo Council chairman. That story is continued on page 4 of the Nation newspaper this morning.
Moving straight into the Nigerian Pilot newspaper from the very top, Afenifere asks President Buhari to resign. We can get out on page 7. Just besides that, Buhari orders military to deal with Southeast, South. We can get out on page 5. The very obvious header there is dialogue now. Southern governors urge federal government to immediately convoke national dialogue, cite widespread agitations for inclusive governance as reason, ban open grazing, including cattle movement to the south by foot, and insist population growth put pressure on available land, causing farmers' herders clashes. All of this can be found on page 8. Just underneath the picture of the day, police in Benue uncover mass grave of suspected kidnapped victims. We can get out on page 6. And a couple of headlines underneath that story. Bandits invasion of Villa shows Buhari can't secure Nigeria, coming from the PDP. Nigerian Women Elders Council gives Buhari 30 days ultimatum. All of that can be found on page 11. And Nigeria to begin administering second phase of AstraZeneca vaccine, page 12. IPOB has no plan to attack Lagos, says Nnamdi Kanu on page 6. And Maiduguri under Boko Haram attacks as sporadic explosions rock part of city. We can get out on page 7. The last headline, is 12 banks earned 461.51 billion naira interest in 3 months, according to report. All of that can be found on page 5 of the Nigerian Pilot newspaper.
And the headlines on the Punch newspaper this morning. The very first headline there says UBA, Zenith, 7 others grow customer deposits to 30.81 trillion naira. That's on page 10. Convoke national dialogue. South tells Buhari Ohanaeze Afenifere backs governors. Then the writer on that's the one says governors condemned armed herders atrocity, fear food scarcity. You can find that on page 9. And beside that headline, Boko Haram scare, National Assembly orders thorough screening of vehicles and persons. And then the main headline on the Punch newspaper this morning, Indian COVID-19 strain surfaces in Nigeria. Diseases Center alerts NCDC. Strain detected in Osun, Edo, same with India's, different in characteristics. That's coming from ACEGID professor. And there should be announcement that vicious strain already in Nigeria counsels Tomori. And then just underneath the picture of the day, Osun Mosque short, Salah prayers banned as imams battle for seat. That's on page 12. Don't cry for diary, says Adeboye at son's burial. That's on page 11. Japanese firm to build Nigeria's first floating LNG facility. You can find that on page 20. Moon not sighted, Ramadan continues today. And that's coming from NSCIA on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. Ogun businesswoman disappears on way to vigil in Lagos. You can find that on page 4. And then the last headline there says, security experts demand probe, raise concerns over villa robbery. You can find that on page 9 of the Punch newspaper.
And to the very last daily for this morning, which is the New Telegraph. From the very top, group life, workers' fate uncertain as governors shun policy. And we see NSI grows net assets to 772.7 billion naira despite COVID-19. And to the very gaping headline, they're talking about insecurity. 17 southern governors ban open grazing. A couple of writers underneath that story says herders incursion threat to national unity, reject clamor by groups for succession, and president approves new security measures for Southeast, South-South. We can get that on page 2 of the New Telegraph. And underneath the picture of the day, tackle succession calls with improved security, Sultan tells Buhari. And just underneath that story, Women Elders Council gives President 2 months to convene national confab. We can get that on page 3. The last headline is nature could boost overall health, according to study. We can get that on page 26. That's all about the New Telegraph. All of these stories, you can just, grab a copy of any of the newspapers so you don't miss out on all of the stories that we've read out to you this morning. And that's the most you can take on the newspaper review segment of the show, the conversation. We'll take a break now. When we return, Adesua will be taking us through what is trending on the social media space. Do stay.
Welcome back. It's about that time where I take you through what I like to call my favorite segment of the conversation. That's where I get to bring you what's trending on social media, what has been trending on social media in the last 24 hours. But you already know that before I get into all of that, I'm going to tell you that you can be a part of the conversation. Just follow TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also subscribe on YouTube so you do not miss out on the amazing lineups that we have there for you. As well as, stream our programs, The Conversation, and every other program on www.tostvnetwork.com. Now, bringing you back to what has been trending on social media in the last 24 hours. That the hashtag David Hundenyi has been trending on Twitter. It made quite a buzz on Twitter in the last 24 hours. So David Hundeyin is a journalist who wrote an article and covered, a lot of details about the death of, the young lady, Moran, who trended last week, the young lady who went to search of a job somewhere in Akwa Ibom and then, was found murdered by supposed, organ harvesters and all of that stuff. So his article kind of uncovered a lot that, the Nigerian police didn't see and every other person. And so he has been trending on social media because of that. I'm going to read out a few tweets to that regard for you. And guess what? I have a guest with me today to help us, that's to help Merciful and I dissect this issue today. I'll be introducing her after, reading out the tweets to you. So the first tweet is from Dr. Pen King, and she says, David Hundeyin single-handedly solved a murder case and unearthed a criminal gang with his own pocket money, something that IGP of police has not been able to use huge federal allocation to do after the case was officially handed over to him. God bless you, brother. And then this is from Oluyomi Ojo. He says, God, please protect David Hundeyin and Fisayo Soyombo for us. We know justice may not be served and the stories they expose because this is Nigeria and our institutions are dead. But we need those stories told and documented. At F. Shore Kingfisher says, I pray for God's protection for David Hundeyin. The establishment always fights back, and dirty they will. You will live, you will not die. You will live well and long to continue to be a thorn in the flesh of these monsters as we pursue justice. And the last tweet is from @FS Yusuf _ Give us 5 David Hundeyin and provide them security. I swear our leaders go sit up. God punish devil. So my guest today is Mayokun.
Hello.
Mayokun is going to be, helping us look at all of this issue. I mean, she's a young Nigerian. I know she's I know the story of Moran kind of hit you as it did most people. So just tell us what you thought about that one.
It was a very sad story. It was a young girl looking for a job, looking for how to make ends meet, and this was how they ended her life. It's so unfair, and what would be more unfair is the fact that it will be the fact that justice will not be served, justice will not take its due course, because she has family members that want a result. They want to know how the perpetrators will be brought to book. So if it's not done, it will be very, very unfair. To be very unfair. So I think David Hundeyin, he did a very good job. Yes. That's brave and very courageous of him. Nobody has the mind to do that in Nigeria, where it's not easy. You expressing yourself is not easy in Nigeria, but him being able to do that single-handedly without no government backup, no backup from the security force, no backup from the Nigerian police, and he did that single-handedly. That's kudos to him. And from the tweets, I fear for his life, because
Are you serious? Why
I do, because I'm sure that was what happened to Dele Giwa too. He was an investigative journalist, and that was how they killed him. So Nigerians, our politicians don't like hearing the truth. Someone like Kikimodi too, that is an investigative journalist, I think hers is different, because what she does doesn't in a way affect the government. It's more of like social issues, like the one she did, the sex for grades, this thing she uncovered and everything. So I'm really scared for him. I just want him to continue the good work. It was what he did was it's without the government, without the Nigerian police, he was able to unravel so much. He did very well.
So what do you think about the whole organ harvesting thing that he spoke about? That's
a very gory, like he spoke about.
I couldn't watch it at night. I had to wake up early in the morning to watch it. It's very sad. It's a horrible thing.
Did you even think that was a thing in Nigeria in the first place?
So I knew it was, but I didn't know it was the circle, the ring was that big. I didn't know people literally do this for a living.
Yeah.
They actually sell human. What even made me, well, I've known about it for a while, but what made me remember, or what made me go back to it, was when this guy was trending on Twitter. I don't know, this popular human this thing they caught that time, Clifford Oji. When Uti said something about supporting your family members despite their bad behaviors or whatever they've done, and I went back to read Clifford Oji's story, and it was horrible. God, I don't know.
But most Nigerians are saying now, I do hope that this kind of is a step to helping, Hine get justice. Because I know,
it's a step, or not just in millions of
Nigerians,
people.
because it could have been anybody, really.
A lot of people, there are family members who have gone missing. They didn't have the funds, or didn't have like
nobody
the financial standing to search for them, or to cry out for help and everything. And I'm sure a lot of people are looking for their family members, and this is how their lives have been ended. So it's not just for Ini. I think Ini opened the door. In this case, opened the door to millions of people getting justice. That's just.
So what can you like borrow your opinion on people who are looking for jobs, are trying to make ends meet and everything? Is there supposed to be some sort? Because according to some people, she did everything she could.
Yeah,
but still
she ticked all the boxes. She sent, so her story was very in line, because the same thing she sent to her sister was what she sent to her aunt. It was that she lied to somebody, probably what she was going to do was not straightforward or something. She ticked all the boxes. So I don't think there is any. Just be safe at the end of the day. It could happen to anybody. It could be. I heard of one last week. They practically flew the guy in from Port Harcourt to Lagos. My mom sent it to me on WhatsApp. I thought it was one of those her BCs that she always uses to scare someone. Then I saw it on Twitter too. They literally flew the guy in, like a job. I think it was a very huge position in the company. They flew him in to Lagos, and it was just to kidnap him.
Are you serious?
So if people go through any length, we just have to be careful, be a guard at all times.
Well, have you ever experienced that, like a fake or false job?
Fake job.
Funny enough, I've never. You have.
Okay, so basically, what do you think about the police duty, like how they've been handling all of this? Because I do know that a lot of people have faulted the police, saying, "Oh, this person single-handedly did your job for you," and all of that stuff. And even though it's as though the police they've actually been investigating and all that stuff, but just as a bystander now, what do you think about
I don't think they have been investigating. I think they've just been doing what they have to do, so people will not talk. It's not like they are going the extra mile to dig deep. If not, you're the police. You have every resource to do what David Hundeyin did, but you did not. So that says something. It says they're covering up, or they're working for the enemy. It has to be that. So I don't see them doing anything. They'll probably just drag the matter, and when they see it has died down, because that's how things in Nigeria, that's how issues in Nigeria are. We drag things for a long time. We talk about it. We create hashtags. They move with us. They slide with us. Then when they see the topic has died down, or people are no longer talking about it, it just dies.
So you think this is
it mysteriously disappears?
You think this is just going to be first one like happened?
It is,
with the whole buzz discussing and everything.
It is, because this has happened almost 2 weeks now, right?
Yeah.
And I think
keep having new developments.
I think every investigation, is leading to one person, and I don't think the person has been arrested. I mean, this is simple. It should be as easy as, we know you. We know you are the killer. Arrest him. Do what is right. Arrest everybody involved in it. I don't think this should take anything. For the fact they are dragging it, it means they are trying to hide something. Because
they are trying to look at the bigger picture and then say, okay, maybe you're not working alone and all of that stuff.
But at least arresting, they have, I would say he's a suspect. I think he's the criminal. Arresting him, taking everybody that has a hand in it, because it's not just him, it's his whole family. I think that should be the first step. Let Nigerians know, okay, we've arrested, and give people daily, will I say, updates. We've arrested this person. This is how, and this is what we've done. But I feel like you're just scratching the surface. They know there are things deeper. It is way deeper than this, but they're just trying to make it. They know it will die. That's how things in Nigeria.
Powers beyond their control.
Yes, that's how issues in Nigeria are. They just try to make so it will reduce the backlash from the citizens. Let it look like they are working. Then they now, when people are no longer talking about it, they just.
But you do know that before our arrest can be made, especially an issue that according to you, is deeper than this. There's supposed to be so much investigation. The deeper the issue, the deeper the investigation.
But are these people? Are they detained then?
No, I think they can be arrested, but they can't be tried yet.
Yeah.
So they can be arrested and questioned, but
So you can't call the
just
people the
keep
criminals
it-
yet.
Okay.
Till they are now
They
being
are
tried and
proven guilty.
yeah.
And all that.
all
But if there's a
these things.
confession, I think you can actually
He
hold them.
confessed.
Right?
He went
In
to
the court, it's now left for the court to decide. That's what I'm saying. So the thing now that most Nigerians are asking for is, let this be the priority. Let everybody
yes.
look into
Let
this.
all hands be on deck.
Definitely. So it's not like it's one of those cases that we just talk about and the
And
next
just
day
let
it's
it
another
slide.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Everybody's opinion is on the table. All right.
Okay.
But that's the much we can take on, this segment of the conversation. What's trending on social media? I'd like to hear your view, your take on this one, please. So drop a comment on our social media handles: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's TOS TV Network. We're going to go on a break now, and when we come back, we'll be taking you or bringing you the big story.
A big thank you for staying tuned to the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, that is TOS Television. And as always, I would like to tell you, you can always be a part of it by following us across all our social media platforms at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also live stream the program on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. And if you have not already subscribed to our YouTube platform, you can do so now. It's the big story on the conversation, and today we'll be analyzing Nigeria's debt profile. Nigeria's external debt is considered to be the biggest in sub-Saharan Africa and has already been rescheduled several times. In spite of the rescheduling and refinancing by creditors who were either members of the Paris Club, Government London Club, or independent creditors, arrears of this debt kept accumulating over time. In 2005, the nation's debt had ballooned to about $30 billion, mostly borrowed from the Paris Club of Creditors. Nigeria and the Creditors Club then went into a series of negotiations on a mutually acceptable relief on the $30 billion debt with the Paris Club. By September 2020, the Debt Management Office revealed that a country's total public debt stock stood at $84.574 billion. And the DMO office described it as part of the government's measures to moderate the rate of growth in the public debt stock in order to ensure debt sustainability. Some Nigerians, however, recently have raised concerns that the country's dependence on the debt to fund annual budget had become alarming. Some stakeholders have also condemned the seeming perpetual dependence on loans by the government to fund infrastructure as well as budget deficit. Before we bring our guest on the show this morning, let's take a look at what Nigerians are saying on this issue.
You can't keep on borrowing money. Rather, you should look for a way to generate money.
Borrowing money is not encouraging at all.
The best thing is just to find solution to pay the one we are already owing.
No matter how it is.
There is no country that is not borrowing, and there is no country that is not owing.
Borrowing is not bad, but before you borrow money, you must have an aim or what to do with that money.
By continuous borrowing, it means we continue being a slavery.
Are we sure that if we borrow again, we'll be able to pay?
If the money they are borrowing is being executed the way it should, I think there is nothing wrong with federal government borrowing money from other countries.
We don't have any reason to borrow whatsoever because economy is wealth, and if you look at it, we have the population, and economy is all about population. With China's population, with India's population, that's why they are growing very fast as a country.
You're welcome back. That was a clip there from Nigerians, the reactions on the debt profile. And joining us this morning to discuss this is Dakpo Banjo, a political and social analyst. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for...
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
All right. First of all, I would like to know your stand. What do you think? What do we need to do to sustain Nigeria's economy? Do we keep borrowing or do we stop borrowing?
As a matter of fact, talking about Nigeria generally, it's very discouraging. The state of the Nigerian situation or economy, or when you go by statistics, let's consider at large the general important sector of a normal economy. The transportation sector, talk about the health sector, let's talk about aviation, let's talk about education, agriculture. Nations borrow money to actually increase and improve infrastructure, especially when it comes to physical infrastructure, road network, building state-of-the-art airports, also trying as much as possible to do what people can get engaged in that can improve the earning power of people of Nigeria. Over a very long period of time, you will agree with me that we have been borrowing a lot of money. From the statistics available, Nigeria is owing up to about 42 point something trillion naira. And that's very huge. And then you keep wondering, after borrowing this money, what has this money been invested in? What can you see those investments? And can you touch them? Can you feel them? Can you experience them? Can you actually point to them? I remembered when in 1999, when former President Olusegun Obasanjo came into power, and that time we had the head of finance and of economy in Nigeria in the new and the current World Trade Organization DG, and that is Mrs. Okonjo, Dr. Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala. Now, you would agree with me that they were on a path of getting Nigeria out of debt. And what they did was to go the extra mile to say, can we pay this and then you forgive this? Can we? It was more like a plea bargain. And what we wanted to do was to actually uplift or facelift the debt profile of Nigeria. But unfortunately, that's not what we have. We have borrowed more money ever since we came out of debt. But today, we are deep in it. We keep amassing more debt. In fact, what we have right now is in the deficit of a fourth generation to come will not even be able to pay it back. Now, if that is what we have, then the question will be, what has the Nigerian government used all the borrowed money to do? We still don't have electricity. The road network are still in a very appalling state. And you and I, we agree that every nation that we know that has borrowed, you can see the value for borrowing. Borrowing in itself is not a problem. What we borrow to do is the main issue. And that's why he's making a big issue on the TOS show today. And so one thing that really is worth talking about is the government of today. Is the government of today interested in developing this country? Can we say that this government is sensitive to what Nigeria needs to be the great nation that we actually describe, proclaim, and declare to be? We keep calling ourselves the giant of Africa. But I see a dead giant. I see a giant that is completely incapacitated, that cannot even fight. I mean, and we cannot even be comparing this story with that of David and Goliath. You see, because a lot of countries who were smaller in our eyes are doing better than us today. So we can see David actually kill the Goliath that is typified as Nigeria. And so our debt, going back to it, is the fact that we are in a very bad situation. By every standard, I think every nation that has come to live a life or painted in the similitude of what we have in Nigeria today is not heading anywhere. And so I don't see Nigeria coming out of this, even though I know that nobody's going to come out of this life alive. I don't see Nigeria coming out of this strong. I don't see us become a better nation. I don't see us become a bigger nation. I don't see us compete in the committees, of nations that are developed. Today we are being likened to the poverty, to the poverty capital of the world. And that's to tell you that the general people, citizens of Nigeria, are subsistent. If we don't work today, we don't eat today. And so the earning power of a typical Nigerian is so weak that we don't have, and so we have a spiral of this decadence into so many things you see today. The number of out of school children, the level of insecurity that we're witnessing today, and then you see that even going into the lives that Nigerians generally live. So debt in itself is never a good thing. But when you borrow for investment, when you borrow money to actually put in areas of a nation that can make that nation grow and become competitive when it comes to comparison with other nations, then Nigeria should keep borrowing.
Now, you raised a very important question. You said, is the government of today, the government of now, interested in balancing all of this? Do you think a singular government is capable of bringing us out of this mess that we're faced with?
Okay, fantastic question. The Obasanjo government brought us out. That's a very good example. It simply means that when there is will,
there's a way.
There is a way. And so we have subsequent government after former President Olusegun Obasanjo's government come into power, and they are not particularly interested in cleaning up the face of Nigeria when it comes to debt profiling. Now, but the point here is, you and I know that over time, the corruption index has described Nigeria as a country that borrows and the monies go into people's pockets because we can't feel it in any sector of the Nigerian economy. And so that's to tell you that we don't have a willing government that is ready, working, steady, and doing everything important to get Nigeria out of the current situation. We are worse than we used to be. Nigeria's never really been that fantastic country that you and I look to have. But at a point in time, it looks as if we were coming out of it, and then before you know it, we went back deeper into, almost every sector dying. Government comes out every day to tell us, oh, we're doing everything to improve security. We're doing everything. Do you know how much Nigeria spent to increase electricity generation over a very long period of time? The Obasanjo regime spent about $16 billion US, and yet we bought darkness. Yet Nigeria cannot even be proud of generating on a daily basis 5,000 kilowatts of electricity.
Okay, so I'm going to say something. You mentioned something earlier. It seems as though you actually agree that borrowing itself is not bad, but Nigeria's debt profile at this point kind of threatens, the growth and sustainability of the country. But I know I've had economists who have said that Nigeria is actually not borrowing enough. You mentioned a lot of, insecurity issues and all of that, and the country has to spend so much money, to tackle all of that. And they're saying we need a lot more than we actually have now to actually, attend to all of these issues. What is your take on that one? Okay.
Now, I'm going to use a very small scenario. I assume I am in a relationship with someone. And then the question, borrowing the millennial language, what are you bringing to the table? Now, the point is that it takes two to work it out, not just from one person. Now, over a long period of time, we have had people in government who believe that we need to borrow more money so that we can increase and improve and expand the infrastructure that Nigeria needs as a country to be able to do the bulk of the things that we need to do and become a nation to be reckoned with, first in sub-Saharan Africa and then in the continent, and then we can have a better outlook to the world. But yet, we have countries of the world that supported the anti-corruption war of the current government to say that all monies that have been repatriated out of Nigeria should be brought back into the Nigerian economy so that we can put it back into what we have. But unfortunately, you do not want to keep pouring water in a basket when you can actually have a beautiful verse like this, somewhere where you can keep water and preserve it, and then people can come there and feed on it or drink from it. But that's not the situation we have here. If the monies that we have borrowed have been used well, then I will join the party that says borrow more money so that we can do more. But we have not done anything with as much as we have borrowed. And so you and I should just think about it. If you are the investor, will you put more money in a business that has died? Nigeria is more like a business, like a dead business, as it were. Nigeria is more like a nation struggling to survive. We are in a bad situation. It's more like we're in a comatose. No sector of Nigerian economy can be said to be making a headway or standing out and saying, yeah, we got it right here. We have spent so much money education-wise, we haven't been able to get those children out of the street. In the transportation sector, you will agree with me, we still don't have the best of road network. We still don't have ordinary analgesics in our various general hospitals. States have since taken over trying to revamp and to re-energize the health sectors across across Nigeria. And that's something that calls for a lot of attention.
So let's look away from debt. What can the country look in towards to actually help boost the economy? If you say we cannot keep borrowing money because we're not utilizing it properly, so what can we do if we're not borrowing? What can we do to actually help boost the economy of Nigeria?
Nigeria is a very blessed country. We have human capital, we have natural resources. We are one of the very best set of brains everywhere in the world and across so many sectors. There is no developed country today, and you will not find a Nigerian being instrumental to where they are now. And so we have suffered over a long period of time what I call brain drain. And that's to tell you that we are a country that does not even nourish our own resources. Nigeria is blessed, so blessed when it comes. We have always been a oil-dependent nation. And for a very long period of time, I remember the Cocoa House in Ibadan was built from the proceeds of agriculture, not even oil, because we had not even discovered oil as at then. We became the first nation in Africa to have a television station. And that was from the proceeds of agriculture. The road networks that you are seeing in Nigeria today were designed and constructed by proceeds of agriculture. But yet we discovered oil that made Nigeria to come into space and become a country that people can listen to, a country that people can look towards. But then I discovered that the discovery of oil is the major problem of Nigeria, because there was a time we called the oil boom in Nigeria, and that was a period where you go to the university, you live in a single room, you are being fed 3 times a day, you even get allowance, you wake up in the morning, people come into your room to clean it up, and you have access to a whole chicken in a day. I mean, the luxury, it's much. You just want to go to school, but nobody wants to go back to school today. Okay, we have graduates who are out of school 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they cannot even get a job. When you even get one, it's not even a rewarding job. And so we have a myriad of problems that is bedeviling Nigeria as a country. And so at that point, you and I need to take a pause and take a look. Let's just take a look, and then you will realize that when we look inward, then there's every tendency. When a man is going to get better in his life, it must be a man that is going to look inward. When you are not better from inside out, you're not going anywhere. Nigeria is not even better from inside out. When every attempt you make to travel out of the country, once they see you with a green passport, they begin to suspect that something must be wrong with you, that something is not right with you. You are a primary suspect. You are clean. Everything about you, it's okay. You're doing your business, or you're on a short visit outside the country. But once they just stamp you a Nigerian, there's a problem. He doesn't trust you. Yes, we have a very major trust issue, and that cuts across everywhere in the world. And so you and I need to now begin to think, what is wrong with us as a country? What is wrong with us as a people? What is wrong with us? People make statements that Nigeria is so much blessed in so many things, but we are not blessed with leadership. But every leader, hear this, every leader is from a family unit. Nobody is existing in Nigeria in isolation. Everybody come out of one family. So let's ask the question, what is your family value? What is your family value? Is there any philosophy that your parents actually imbibed in you or inculcated in you, and that makes you different from every boy on the street, from every man on the street, every woman on the street? The problem is not even the way the nations of the world see us today. It is the way we see ourselves. Are you proud, Adesua, to be a Nigerian? My question to you is merciful. Are you proud to be a Nigerian? And that's the question. That is where to start from. You and I need to start from home. What charity, they say, begins at home. So looking inward is to say, do we have men who can change this country? Yes. Do we have women who can be instrumental to the development of this country? Fantastic. I don't like to sound like a feminist, but I believe in fair play. And I believe women have a very great role because they're mothers and they care a lot, maybe more than men. Let me put it that way, because I also know that some of us, men, care a lot. But women are naturally given to caring. When will Nigeria witness the first female president? Let us see. Let us just try something that we have never done before. Maybe we can get the result that we have never gotten before.
Okay, just to wrap up, in one word, do you see us actually getting out of debt anytime soon? One word.
No.
Okay. All right.
N-O.
Wow.
All right. With that, it's a wrap on the conversation this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. It was such a pleasure to have you. And thank you guys for joining us on the show this morning. The conversation continues tomorrow. But before then, don't forget to be a part of the TOS television community. Follow TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also subscribe to TOS TV Network on YouTube so you do not miss out on anything. You can also watch the conversation and other programs that we have for you on www.tostvnetwork.com. My name is Adesua Osuyi.
And I am Merciful Ajinimo. Have a wonderful day ahead.